for this ascetic teacher. So the first ascetic teacher taught him this realm of nothingness. And he mastered the skill, and he found that, okay, the teacher, this Alara Kalama, told him, yeah, you have achieved what I have achieved already. So let's lead the congregation together. So let's lead the community together. So both become like teachers. Huh? So this one, the Bodhisattva at that time, the Bodhisattva Gautama refused the offer. He found that he haven't no, realized enlightenment, still something more. So he went to the second teacher, Uddaka Ramaputta. Yeah, so he taught them, this teacher taught him neither perception nor non-perception, the highest one, number 8. So he realized it. And this time round, this teacher, Uddakaramaputra, told him, okay, now you lead the congregation. That means this Uddakaramaputra become like below him. Asked the Bodhisattva Gautama to lead the entire congregation. So Bodhisattva Gautama is like, still not yet the truth. Still not yet the truth. I still feel that something's missing. So to simplify the context, it's like entering deep states of concentration. Probably their belief is to freeze the karma. So, by stealing everything, then end suffering. So in Buddhism, we also believe in stealing formation, but a very different dimension of stealing. So Buddhists, after Buddha got enlightened, when he steal formation, is the Nibbana. When in Nibbana, there's no rising, no passing. So that's another stealing, a different dimension of stealing. So he went to the other school of thought, which is to burn away your karma. So that one is to torture yourself. Torture yourself. So it's not freezing the karma. So now it's to burn the karmas. So he went to do all kinds of fasting and torturing of the body for 6 years. So 6 years about to die. Then he kind of discovered, okay, you want to stop this extreme asceticism. There's no way to burn all the karmas, because once you generate a thought, you're creating karmas already. So it's likewise, you cannot freeze karmas all the time. Once you move around, you're creating movement. You cannot freeze all the time. So what is the middle way? So after recuperating his strength, then he kind of rediscovered as a boy, as a young boy, as a prince, a young boy, 7 years old. He kind of like Ponteng, the ploughing festival, when the father brought him to observe this ploughing festival, he Ponteng, sat under the tree, watched his breath, and able to enter the first jhana as a boy. So it's like he discovered himself. So he was thinking, nobody taught him. So at that time, no meditation teacher taught him this. So the meditation teachers at that time were teaching this one, formless concentrations. That means this concentration, you don't have to do one by one. You can directly skip. You can skip and just by thinking of a concept. So let's say if a person think of space, then they enter this lah. Or they think of consciousness. For example, in the Thai tradition, they talk about knowing, awareness. Or like some mindfulness courses, they say aware. So if they stay with the awareness all the time, they might enter this one, this perception of infinite consciousness. So in the suttas, they mention about this nothingness. So if a person were to be an empty environment, then they keep on thinking nobody there, nobody here, everything is empty. Always maintain this concept, then they will enter this realm of nothingness. So it's a kind of idea. They keep on imposing, then they will enter this state of concentration. So likewise, in our routine, if we do the 4 sublime states, we wish all beings well and happy, we can enter the first. If we wish all beings free from suffering, you enter the second, compassion. Then for appreciative joy, we rejoice with all beings, you enter the third. And if we reflect on karma to reach equanimity, then a person can reach the fourth. So these are the criteria for the 4 sublime states. So a person doesn't need to go one by one. So if a person does loving kindness with insight, with impermanence, with insight, then it will jump to the fourth. So it will bypass two and three. So loving kindness become one and four. Yeah. Then if a person does compassion with insight, then you jump to the fifth. So you bypass third and fourth. So become compassion two and five. Then for appreciative joy, if we keep rejoicing and then we think of impermanence, it'd be three and six. Yeah, so it bypass four and five. Then for equanimity, it'd be four and seven. Yeah. So this is the, don't ask me why it's like that. So that's the, in the Mettang Sutta. Yes, question. Yeah, can 1 to 8. If you know the perception, if you understand this. You need to practice first how to enter this. So only the breath meditation. So I'll continue the Buddha story. Okay, so uh, as a boy, he discovered this. So the Buddha, or before he got enlightened, he stopped these ascetic practices. He decided to go through this route. No, as a boy, how did he enter the first? So he explored how to enter the first, able to let go, enter the second, let go again, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So we did talk about it in the fourth or fifth lesson in the Dipa Sutta. So the Buddha himself mentioned using the breath meditation, you can enter all levels of concentration. So you just like changing gear. You let go, you let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go until the eighth. And if you let go, then you can enter this thing called cessation. So we cover this in the third type of concentration, which is the the under mindfulness. If a person practice detachment, they'll experience cessation. So a person may not need to do any jhanas to experience this, because this cessation, this samadhi transcends all the eight jhanas. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so anyway, um, like your question, a person needs to experience it beforehand. How is it like? And once they experience it, if they are familiar, that means they are kind of veteran with it, then they a bit have like this recall function. It's like you load a file. I mean, you save the file, then you load the file, like something like that. So you kind of load that experience, then you can immediately can jump to any level you want. So that comes with practice, lah. So that's the more advanced stage. So the Buddha got enlightened through entering all these different levels and experiencing this cessation. So the so-called vipassana portion is when he let go of this neither perception or non-perception. So that's for how the Buddha's life story. So in between, at the fourth level of concentration, then he kind of sidetracked a bit, want to kind of like explore, see past lives. Because that time he was searching the truth and he was like discovering a new path for himself because no teachers teach him. So he need to try every possible method. So he was trying, okay, maybe see past lives, see whether got any clues and any clues or hints, any patterns to kind of look out for. So in the fourth level, then he tried to see the past life, which is another type of samadhi, which we'll talk about it later. So that's the general kind of like the outline for jhanas. So in the post-canonical manual, the meditation manuals which people write later, not from the suttas, like the Visuddhimagga, for example, then they'll tell you, oh, breath meditation can reach fourth jhana only, first four. Then if you want to go to the fifth onwards, you need to change meditation object. So that's the post-canonical version. But in the sutta version, probably the breath meditation is the only meditation object that can enter all levels of concentration. Like when you talk about the Brahma Viharas, there's a limitation, maybe first and four. Then there's some things cannot go. So different meditation object got its pros and cons. Um, because breath meditation is a bit more technical. Yeah, you talk about the 16 steps, right? Very technical. So to enter all these levels, the breath sometimes a bit difficult. It's like I give an example like musical instrument. Musical instrument. How many of you play piano? Yeah, you have one piano player. Okay. So comparing, I give a comparison. Musical instrument like the piano got many notes, right, on the keyboard. So in order to play a song with the keyboard versus using another instrument, let's say a simple instrument like this one. This instrument can produce how many notes? Probably one note only, right? You just hit just one note lah. Yeah, so let's say this one more for like tempo and whatever not. So comparing the two instruments, piano and this one, which is harder to play? Piano, right? Got so many notes, then you confuse, which note to press, which one to press. This one don't need to think, just whack only, right? So um, comparing the two musical instruments, this one will be easier. So different meditation object is a bit like different musical instrument. So got that they have their pros and cons. So for example, if I go to a deathbed patient, like maybe new to Buddhism or free thinker or the kind of like Gnostic Buddhist, about to die already, which one would be easier to teach? Um, the meditation object which with one note or the meditation object with many notes? One note, right? Okay. So, for example, in the Thai tradition, they'll just ask you, recite Bhutto, lor, just think of the Buddha, la, Bhutto, Bhutto. Can ready, la. Not too complicated. Not too complicated. So it works. So usually those like Nian Fo, the Amitabha even, the Buddha of infinite life, very similar sounding, infinite consciousness. So usually if they are successful, they can reach this state of concentration. So they bypass. They don't have to enter the first, second, third, fourth. They straight away usually enter the sixth. They kind of bypass. So different object for different situation. So if let's say a person is well and they are healthy and everything, then they straight away, for example, learn this one only, Bhutto, or they Nian for, then they experience some peace. Then you ask them which level of jhana, which level of concentration you enter. Usually they don't know. Usually they don't know because some systems, they never teach level by level how to enter the first, second, third, fourth. They just know, very quiet, which concentration. Then they start guessing, okay, is it momentary? Is it excess concentration? Is it full concentration? They don't know. So it's more like guessing. Yeah, so some meditation communities is probably that direction, but that doesn't mean no concentration. So it's they have something, but just that not being taught the labels. Yeah, so some of the pros and cons. Okay, next. Okay, so previous one. All right, so we talked about the initial and sustained thought, the vitaka vichara earlier. So every level of concentration also need thinking, need thinking. So besides the Dipa Sutta, which we taught in the fourth lesson, um, this one is another sutta, the Jhana Sutta. So it talks about thinking of insight actually. So if a person enter concentration, if they really want to practice the middle path to include right mindfulness, they also need to be mindful of impermanence if they want to do the middle way concentration. Because if a person just do pure jhanas without insight, then they might get clinging, attachment. So even in many suttas, or before the Buddha's time, if a person were to just do jhanas and there's no insight, so after death, then they'll be reborn in, let's say, some Brahma world up there. Then they'll probably use up all the good karmas through their very, very long life. So if they use up all the good karmas, what's remaining? All the negative karmas. Then they come back down and sometimes worse, below human realm. Can be ghosts or hell or whatever. So that's the the disadvantage of just doing jhanas without any contemplation. So usually for Buddhist meditation, we say after if a person does samatha, then they also must do vipassana. They must do insight. So if they do insight, then they can at least upgrade, liberate from there. Okay, so this is the jhana portion. Okay, so um, yeah, so the second type of concentration. So we finish with jhanas already. So now we talk about the second type, which is developing these divine abilities called higher knowledges. So this one is visualization or perception of light. So in the sutta, um, or at least in the Samadhi Sutta, it mentions perception of light. So there's another sutta called the Iddhipada Vibhanga Sutta. So that's like the analysis of the basis of psychic power. So it mentions all the visualization exercises that will help a person develop these special abilities. So even things like impurities of the body meditation. Some meditators, they visualize skeleton for very long, visualize. Then afterwards, maybe they might have X-ray vision. And they open their eyes, they can tell you, oh, here you got cancer, lah, you got this part of the body got problem, lah. And they start to see certain things. Yeah, um, so in our routine, we normally don't fixate any visualization thing for very long. So even for the impurities of the body meditation, I will just tell you, do quickly. Lah. You think of one part of the body, wish it well and happy, think of the next part of the body. And we quickly move on. We don't fixate for too long. Um, there's a reason why. Maybe for some systems, they emphasize, okay, you need to develop this special ability because they want you to see past life. But for our case, not so much. Yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, previous one. Okay, so these are we call it the six higher knowledges. Six higher knowledges. So if a person just visualize something only, they probably develop the first five. So what are the first five? Something like telekinesis, can move objects with the mind, walk on water, fly, and all those things. Then the second one we call it divine ear, and clairaudience. It means hear long range or hear other realms. So this divine ear. Then the third one, mind reading, telepathy. Then the fourth one, recollecting past lives. And the fifth one, this divine eye. That means seeing other people's other realm. That means maybe other people's their past lives and so on. So that's the fifth one. Then the sixth one is basically enlightenment. So the sixth higher knowledge is only developed if a person has vipassana, if a person has insight. So if a person just visualize only without any contemplation, basically any unseen being also can develop this, or they are born with this. Even demons, and demons are born with this also. Certain higher powers can fly and all those. So our objective for Buddhists is actually to reach number six. If along the way you practice and develop any of these, we call these bonus. Bonus, but not important. Bonus, but not important. Okay, next. Okay, so um, this kind of concentration, we call the iddhipadas, can lead to, I would say, like suspended animation, like certain will to control your lifespan. So this one is mentioned several times in the last days of the Buddha. So the Buddha was telling this Venerable Ananda, if a person has this mastery of these four bases of psychic power, they can choose to extend their life for an eon, which is quite a long time. So the Buddha is like hinting to Venerable Ananda, but Venerable Ananda didn't get the message. So actually, Venerable Ananda can invite the Buddha to stay longer. he can actually request, but then he just like listen, like a matter of fact, yeah, 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 yeah. But then he never invite the Buddha to stay longer. So somehow the Mara chop the Buddha first. Say, okay, nobody invite you to stay, live longer. So, you're 80 years old. Please, invite you to pass away. So the Buddha kind of, follow the path of nature, so he passed away. So, um, this kind of meditation. So sometimes you might hear yogis, like suspended animation. They meditate and don't need to eat, don't have to breathe, can meditate in one shot, maybe 7 days or whatever, don't need to whatever, don't have to eat and breathe and so on. So that is the uh, meditation on these four bases of psychic power. So they visualize a lot and they able to enter this kind of concentration. And probably after the Buddha's time, another type of meditation called the chakras kind of meditation, moving certain energies around the body. I will also classify that under this also, iddhipada, under development of this psychic power. In the Buddha's time, probably there's still no such thing as chakras. There's no mention of energy healing. There's no mention of this energy and moving around the different points. So if you really search, do your research and search who kind of like invented or started this system of chakra meditation, is by this guy called Patanjali. So he wrote the Yoga Sutras in Hinduism. And this fella, Patanjali, he existed probably more than 100 years after the Buddha's time. So during the Buddha's time, no mention of energy healing. I was like searching this Vinaya about medical treatment. So the Buddha, one whole segment, talk about what is allowed, what is not allowed, what kind of medicinal treatment is allowed for your illness. So there's no mention of energy healing, zero. So they have things like drinking urine and all the kind of stuff in the ancient days, but no mention of energy healing. So if there was such thing as Reiki or Chi or chakras back then the Buddha would say, use energy to heal, solve the problem. But no, So it's the kind of treatment used in the Buddha's time was still very like rudimentary, a bit physical. So they have to rely on this and basis of power. So things like even like the Bojangas, like the seven factors of awakening. Some people say, you chant Bojanga can heal your body. So if a person were to read the Bojangas, there were 3 monks that were healed through recollecting these Bojangas. And these 3 monks happen to have this mastery of psychic power. So first is the Buddha. Then next is Venerable Mahakassapa, the monk foremost in asceticism. Then the Buddha praised him for having all his abilities also. And Venerable Mahamoggallana, the monk, the left-hand disciple of the Buddha, which is also foremost in psychic power. So the rest of the monks don't have this thing. If you sick, then sometimes some of the monks even die or and whatever not. Um, so these are like reserved for people with psychic ability. They can choose to, I would say, manipulate certain things to maybe go against nature for a while. Yeah, so that is this guy. Okay, so if you look at the background, this picture, you see this very faint background. Then you see the heading. Indian man says he's fasted for 70 years. So during my junior monkhood days, a lot of the Thai monks in the forest monastery love fasting, love to do fasting practice, as in totally not eat the meal at all. Yeah, can drink lah. Yeah. So what happened is, um, even though the Buddha kind of allowed moderate asceticism, that means 1 meal a day. Some of them go beyond. That means they don't even take the 1 meal a day. Yeah. Then, so I was thinking, what's so fascinating about this fasting? Then I was A lot of monks, they were like competing with each other, see who can fast longer and stuff like that. So in the Malaysian papers, then I saw this guy. This guy, Pralat Jani, his name, Pralat Jani. So he's an Indian yogi. At that time, he claimed to be able to fast. That means don't eat and drink, not even drinking for 60, 70 years. But I think he passed away already. But that time he was still alive. Then he was very poor thing. So the Indian scientists want to test him, put him in hospital, isolated room. Then every few hours go and draw blood, test him. So poor thing for 1 week in the hospital. So he really never eat and drink for that week. So he just behaved normally, read newspaper, rocking chair. So they just like camera, just video, record him for one whole week. Yeah. So according to the interview, according to him, he said that when he meditating, and suddenly he able to see this deva come to him and tell him, from now onwards, you don't have to eat and drink. Then you like that, don't have to eat and drink. A bit similar to the Buddha's life story also, though for those who know, when the Buddha was practicing extreme fasting. Some devas actually offer the Buddha to have a play cheat method. That means infuse heavily honey to the Buddha's skin, so that he don't have to eat. And the Buddha rejected the offer. He said, that is playing cheat, you don't want. He said he want to go through the process of torturing to burn away the karma. Yeah, so this is the so-called modern day, a bit more modern day miracle. And in the West, there are some practitioners that kind of followed something similar. They want to visualize something and they can reduce their metabolism. So there's a movement, they call it breatharians. Like the breathing in, breathe out, the breatharians or breatharians. I do not know how to pronounce it. So this group, they stare at the sun, not for too long, maybe a few seconds, then the image will be there, right? Then they kind of close their eyes, then the sun will be there. So they do it, and they really can like stop their meals by a lot. That means slow down their metabolism as though they can photosynthesize, stare at the sun. So they call themselves breatharians, as though they are like eating the breath. So maybe Hokkien, they call it Chak Hong. So, okay, but never mind. So these people, you can search it up, breatharians. We're going to show another video. So this is a bit more modern take on this visualization. So what can this visualization people do? 2-minute video. So you can watch.
You are witnessing children reading and playing, completely blindfolded.
The other dragons were purple with smooth, shiny scales.
It might seem like a magic trick, and when I first saw it, I thought the same thing. This can't be true. But what if I told you that you too can train yourself to see without your physical eyes? Anyone can do this. And if we can train our brains to see with the blindfold on, then we can also cultivate this higher power to make our brain do just about anything. So how do we do it? There are a few different methodologies that all achieve the same result because they're based on the same principle. If you believe it, you can achieve it.
I can do this. Anybody can do this. Everything's your attitude.
Green, excellent. Pink, marvelous.
In your head, you just need to think, please may I turn my energy on.
So then how are these children and adults seeing in pitch black masks? They're able to see because they truly believe that there is light present in the environment around them. They visualized that there was light coming in from the environment, piercing through their mask, and soon enough, the light became so bright that they could see as if the masks weren't even there.
Tell me what's on this card.
Teacup.
Belief can supersede what the brain thinks and does. It's the ultimate validation that our consciousness can make our physical brain do exactly what we want it to do. We all have the power to achieve and manifest these superhuman abilities. So it's not seeing is believing, but rather believing is seeing.
Okay. So we can move back to the slides. Okay, so we are back to the slides. Yeah, so that's for visualization. So it's different
These
type of
people are
samadhi.
completely
Okay.
blindfolded, but what?
Okay. All right, yeah, so that's another type of samadhi. So nothing to do with jhanas or enlightenment. Okay, so another misconception, does jhanas equals to psychic power? So that's why we need to refer to more case studies to able to filter out the difference. If not, we just lump sum and stereotype and categorize them all together. So I take the case study of Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta is the right-hand disciple of the Buddha, foremost in wisdom. So the post-canonical version will say, oh, Venerable Sariputta only do 4 jhanas. Lah. So after 4 jhanas, then he going to do vipassana, then he reach enlightenment. Not true. So in the sutta, the Buddha praised Venerable Sariputta for being able to do all the jhanas, all the way from the form and formless concentration to this. And then eventually he reached enlightenment from another method, which is to contemplate on the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha is giving a sermon. Venerable Sariputta was fanning the Buddha, then he reached enlightenment. Yeah, so that is the path of Venerable Sariputta. And another case study is that even though Venerable Sariputta has all the jhanas, he doesn't have psychic power. So this second study, Junha Sutta, talks about both of the chief disciples, Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana, the one with the psychic power, both meditating in a cave. So Venerable Sariputta is meditating outside of the cave, which is the entrance facing the open area, the sky. And Venerable Moggallana, the one with psychic power, is meditating deep inside the cave in the darkness. So what happened according to the story is two yakas, two demons flew past and then saw this monk meditating. And you see the head so shiny because probably just shave off the head, so smooth and shiny, feel like bashing the head. And itchy, feel like bashing the head. So he took his club out, thumped the head and flew off. Yeah. So immediately, this Venerable Moggallana, the one with the psychic power, saw what happened, because got divine eye, then quickly rushed out and asked his brother monk, are you okay or not? Are you okay? Then Venerable Sariputta said, I have a bit of headache, I don't know why. Why got headache? Don't know. Then Venerable Moggallana asked this Venerable Sariputta, do you see what happened or not? Then Venerable Sariputta, no. What do you see? So Venerable Sariputta cannot see anything. Yeah, so according to this statement, how amazing, friend Moggallana, how astounding, yeah, how great your power and might, where you saw the yaka, this Venerable Sariputta didn't even see a dust devil. He can't see anything. He don't have this ability, no divine eye. Yeah, so this is different people, when they practice, have different results. So for those who attended the past 1 or 2 lessons, because Venerable Moggallana was advised to visualize white light. We talk about the Chapala Sutta, Venerable Moggallana was nodding, right? So the Buddha taught him a method to keep himself awake, which is to visualize the bright light. So maybe from there, then he kind of developed this special ability. Okay, so again, does enlightenment equals to having psychic power? So some people like to test people whether you got psychic power or not. That means, oh, they're enlightened. So that's not a good way to test because Mara also has psychic powers. like all those kids running around just now, they also have special abilities. Okay, so this sutta, Susima Sutta, talks about actually a spy from another religion. His name is Susima. So he want to know, how come this Buddhism growing? So he want to know what's the secret ingredient. So he managed to ordain. He asked the Buddha permission, can ordain or not. Then the Buddha said, yeah, ordain. The Buddha actually know lah. So let him ordain. So when he's mixing around with the other monks, then he overheard there's a group of young monks declare enlightenment. Declare enlightenment. So he approached them and asked them, is it true that you all declare enlightenment? So these monks say, yes, they declare enlightenment. So he's so happy. Go and interview them. Yeah, do you have? Yeah, so is it true? So he double checked. So the monk said yes. So interview them lah. Do you have all these special abilities? Have psychic power. I mean, all the 5 higher knowledges. Can you recollect past lives? And this monk say, no, cannot recollect past life. They have divine eye, don't have divine ear, don't have everything, don't have. Then this guy is like, hey, what kind of enlightenment is this? What kind of enlightenment is this? And he went back to the Buddha and asked the Buddha, how come your enlightenment like that one? And the Buddha taught the Susima how to see the 5 aggregates and the 12 links of dependent origination. Then he got enlightened. This Susima got enlightened. And this time around, the Buddha asked him, can you see your past life? Cannot leh. Cannot see past life. So even though the Buddha taught dependent origination, so dependent origination doesn't necessarily means the past life model. So you say cannot see. So ask him all the higher knowledges, don't have. So this is the case example. So you can read yourself the story in this Susima Sutta. Okay, then the third type of samadhi is actually mindfulness, which we talked about in the past 2 lessons, the 4 foundation of mindfulness. So as long as a person is aware of arising and passing, so you develop another type of samadhi, another type of concentration, which is this one. So if you look at number 6, so this is the concentration from vipassana, from mindfulness. Nothing to do with jhanas. So in jhanas, a person need to enter concentration first to experience rapture or this joy. Whereas this concentration, this vipassana concentration, is the other way around. The concentration is developed after the joy of detachment. So this rapture also different from the jhanic rapture. So it's a different process altogether, different emotion, different state of mind. So I don't have to go through because last week I go through already. Who needs me to go through again this one? Don't have. Okay, so I skip this. Okay, so if a person were to continue number 3, were to fully develop these 7 factors of awakening, then they will develop the 4th type of concentration, which is liberation. So if they clear all their defilements, clear all the effluents, all the, they call asavas, all the defilements, by observing rising and passing on the 5 aggregates, they will reach this enlightenment. So for those who know the 10 factors which the Arahant need to overcome, an enlightened being will not be attached to the form and formless concentration because they have something better. They have this new type of samadhi, this emptiness or whatever you call it. So they have this new type of concentration which supersedes the jhanas. So they won't be attached to the jhanas. Okay, so that's the end of my sharing. I open the floor to Q&A. Today's talk a bit long. Anyone wants to ask questions can do so. No questions? All very seasoned really. Okay, how about the online? No question also. How many people now? Oh, okay. All right. If there's no questions, then we can go for a short break, 5-minute break. Then we come back for the guided meditation. They have no choice, you know. It's not like you can switch channel and see what you want to see. Sometimes you got no choice. The thing just appear, or the sound just appear, or the vision just appear. And if you're not ready, you get emotionally traumatized. Certain things you are not ready to accept. Like certain close family member did certain things to you in the past, so you cannot accept, you know. Or let's say if you want to kaypo, or past life, where I keep my treasure. I want to want to strike rich. So we when kaypo. So um, yeah, so these kind of things that may not reduce your greed and anger. Okay, so that's my sharing. Hopefully everyone's back and we can. Okay. Okay. Okay, so for the question on the sixth abhinya, the sixth higher knowledge, which is the extinction or defilement, so that is basically enlightenment. Yeah, so anybody who practice the third concentration, which is the reflection of impermanence, mindfulness of impermanence, they will reach the fourth eventually, which is the enlightenment kind of samadhi. So that is actually the sixth higher abhinya.
Okay, the second question is, the Buddha could have multiple bodies to teach on other realms in the same time. So which abhinya does this refer to?
Which abhinya, mortal bodies? One of them, I'm not sure. Probably ability to like teleport, yeah? So maybe the first one, yeah? Under the ability to fly and so on.
Okay, and then the last question, can Ajahn speak more about the concentration that comes from vipassana practice?
Okay, so this one is actually covered in the previous lesson, the 7 factors of awakening. So the whole idea is to save time. Basically, whatever you do, just be mindful of impermanence. If you keep continuing mindful of impermanence, you reach a point, if let's say there's real detachment taking place, then this joy will appear. So if we go back to the previous slide on the 7 factors of awakening. Yeah. Okay, so the first 3 means continuously mindful of impermanence, and if the conditions are right, you trigger the 4th one, which is rapture. Yeah, the 4th one, which is rapture. And this rapture in this Vipassana version would not last long. You subside quite fast. Whereas the rapture in the jhanas will kind of maintain as long as you're still in that particular level of jhana. So whereas this Vipassana version is kind of like for a while, this rapture for a while, but more intense version. And eventually when it subsides, it's called tranquility. The disappearance of the rapture is called tranquility. And the tranquility, when deepened, when kind of strengthened, we call it concentration. And this concentration is the vipassana samadhi. So regardless of what you experience, which phase you experience, you need to keep on repeating, rising and passing, mindful impermanence. Because once you stop only, the mind will naturally cling to something else. That's why we call it the 5 clinging aggregates. You cling to something else. And once you cling to something else, then everything will go back to square one. All right? So basically, this is like a tug of war. And of course, the equanimity would be a more like balanced mind, not so easily shaken. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, if not, then we start the meditation session. very short time, so we find a comfortable sitting posture. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so we're going to feel the 4 element sensations of the body. So this one doesn't require visualization. So these are the earth, fire, wind, water elements. Earth represent any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold. Wind is the fast, slow movements. And the water is the moist or dry sensations. So we let the sensations appear naturally by themselves, don't have to control them, don't have to purposely create them. Let them appear naturally by themselves. And when it appears, we need to intentionally wish them well and happy. So this is the samatha phase. Happy, new sensation appear, well and happy. So the repetition is right effort. The wishing of the sensations well and happy is part of right thought. And the observing of the sensation itself is part of mindfulness of the body. Every moment you wish the sensations well and happy, you're reducing aversion bit by bit. And if you do it correctly, the mind should be able to calm down. So there's a correlation between craving and stress. And you see how far can the mind calm down. You are relatively calm, if you find that that's the maximum limit of calming, cannot calm down any further, or the rate of settling is negligible, then we call this your neutral baseline emotion. So it's still a neutral state, no concentration yet. So we remember this emotion first for reference. And now we're going to cultivate this loving kindness. So we're going to wish may all beings in all directions well and happy, and boundless loving kindness, above, below, and all across. May all beings be well and happy. And in that widened area of attention, we are going to perceive all beings as the four element sensations, and the lowest common denominator. Don't have to visualize, huh? So our focus now is we narrow or zoom in down to the, hopefully, jhanic concentration. So less distraction, the better. So we don't visualize first because there will be biasness and discrimination. Once you visualize certain creature look very scary, you have certain emotion. You visualize certain creature look very cute, and again different emotion. So we avoid this. Back down to the four element sensations. Any sensation appear, we are going to wish may all beings be well and happy. So the sensations may appear inside the body, they may appear outside the body, doesn't matter. Once you detect something, then we are going to wish may all beings be well and happy. And then we take note of this emotion. If let's say the conditions are right, you keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. You have the right thought, right effort and everything, then it may trigger the right concentration. So usually loving kindness may lead one to the first jhana, the first level of concentration, indicated by some increment in joy and happiness compared to the neutral baseline emotion from earlier. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. Keep turning the Dhamma wheel. And now we are going to add some wisdom, some insight. We are going to cultivate a more unconditional or more detached kind of loving kindness. So we're now going to think of impermanence. So the mantra now we change to rising and passing. So whatever sensation appear, we are now going to recite rising and passing. Okay, the conditions are right, then once you detach, again, it may eventually lead to the third type of concentration. So if there's some joy, whatever it is, just keep on reciting, rising and passing. And if you keep on sticking to reciting, rising and passing, then one may experience this neutral and refreshing or alert kind of experience. So we call that equanimity. And the same thing, regardless of what you experience, keep on turning the Dhamma wheel, keep reciting, rising and passing. You have to hear yourself reciting, rising and passing. Treat all the whatever pleasant experience as a bonus or byproduct. Okay, then now we switch to the second sublime state, which is compassion. So for compassion, we are going to wish, may all beings be free from suffering. So using the same non-discrimination approach, we treat all beings as the four elements. So whatever sensation appear, they are all subject to clinging and suffering. So We're going to wish may all beings be free from suffering. Don't have to imagine anything, no story. So the conventional compassion need to worry and plan. Is this person okay? How to help this person? So that is actually good for solving external problem, but internally very draining. So now we learn to recharge internally. So all the restlessness and worry, the story making is part of creating this imaginary samsara. Try not to get ourselves into suffering. So stick back to the 4 elements and keep wishing may all beings be free from suffering. So if a person keep on wishing may all beings be free from suffering, this compassion may lead one to the second level of concentration, or the second jhana, denoted by some joy and happiness. So the conventional compassion would be very sad, very sorrowful, whereas the concentrative kind of compassion a bit more joyful. And regardless of what you experience, keep turning the Dhamma wheel. Keep on wishing, may all beings be free from suffering. Okay, and now we add some wisdom, some insight. We're going to reflect how to truly overcome suffering, which is to shake off the 5 clinging aggregates by impermanence. So we're going to keep reflecting, rising and passing. Any sensation appear, rising and passing. instead of the equanimity from previously, this time around it should feel more like spacious or more blank compared to the previous one. So the combination of compassion and insight may lead one to this perception of space. And the same thing, regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. Do not get lost in space. Any level of concentration is also subject to clinging. You get stuck or lost in that state. And it's also subject to suffering. So continue to recite, rising and passing. And before we conclude the session, same gentle reminder in all activities, whether we're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, we can be mindful of impermanence or mindful of the sublime states. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, and formally generate right thought. All right, any other further problems or questions? Yes, no, no. Okay, then not then any announcements.
Yeah, actually, this Sunday, 21st September, we are actually looking for volunteers to help us. We are working with Abaya Foundation in Sri Lanka to actually pack and all the household items and